Hey guys, this says that I'm streaming. Maybe I am. It says I'm here anyway. And I didn't get something out. Of course. It wouldn't be one of my live streams if I didn't get something out. Or if I didn't forget something. Hi, Mary. So, I can't tell how many people are here whenever I'm doing this. And I don't know how to tell. I actually haven't tried to look into that more because numbers don't matter to me. I mean, I want somebody to be here to study with me, but the numbers don't matter to me. But I have the study I'm going to be going off of a little bit today. I'm going to go ahead and warn you. It's still going to be from the scripture we've been reading, but I'm going to kind of go a little bit off there. I don't know why I decided to, what made me think about, oh, I want to talk about this or whatever, or what made me decide I wanted to talk about what I'm going to talk about. But we are going to talk about some of the things in the actual study too, though. But first, I would like to get started with prayer request. Always Selena. Keep her in our prayers. And then Noah, because of his new thing that he's doing that I told y'all. And then Mary, she said that Cecily, her grandbaby, is going today. And you can correct me or say whatever else you want to say if you want to, Mary. Going today to the doctor it's in a town in our state that has better doctors, has a medical school and different things like that, and has a very good children's hospital. So she's going there today. I think it's today. Wasn't it today? I know it was today. At least unless they changed it. All right, and then Chris, her husband, is she can tell you exactly, but he's having back issues, and I can understand back issues because I've already had one spine surgery in my cervical spine, and then I have lumbar issues as well. So I can say that I know the pain he's in, and it's not easy. It's not easy at all. It's some of the worst pain that I've ever experienced. Not saying the worst pain you could be in, but it's the worst I've ever experienced for a long term, like a chronic thing. So them, and then Mary has some more kidney stones. I don't know why that lady can't get rid of them, but she jokes about it. So I've known her my whole entire life. She hasn't known me her whole life because she's older than me a little bit. But anyway, you've been sick? Oh no, Lois. And you've been babysitting all week. How in the world are you babysitting and sick? How can you do it? But I don't know. Then Carol's niece is having surgery next week, I want to say. If I'm wrong, maybe Carol will be here and she can tell us. Actually, I hope Carol's here today because I have a question for her that has nothing to do with Bible study, but I still have a question for her. And if not, I can ask her, email her. Oh no. I hope it's not that. And then Robin is still in the hospital. Today makes 2 weeks that he's been in the hospital. He went in on a Thursday. And he's been back and forth with some things. They've had to change his medicine some again because of his heart rate and things like that, because his heart rate was so low when he went in. Yeah, we just have to keep moving, Lois, we do. So, with him, he's still in the hospital, but he's still joking, which is great, and he wants to get better. So that's what matters. And then Amy T, her husband passed away, and I can't remember who asked for the prayer for that. Was it Amy? Was it you, Amy? I'm almost positive. I know it was you. Yes, it was you. It's one of her friends. And then her cousin and his wife, Wesley and Stephanie, they are pregnant again, and we want to remember them. And I know I just went over these on Tuesday, most of them anyway, but I still want all of us to remember them. I wanted to be fresh in our minds. But they are pregnant again after a loss, and that's not easy. I've never had a loss that was as far along as theirs, but I've lost babies, and I know how that is, and I know several of the ladies here have as well. And it's not easy, even years later. And then I forgot, and I cannot believe I forgot, but Sammy from Managing the Maze, she's another YouTuber. She is actually from Mississippi, but she lives in West Virginia. She just lost her mama recently, just last month, I want to say. And now her pawpaw is in the hospital, but he is showing he's getting better. He's sitting up now. But I want y'all to remember Sammy and her family, because she's in up north in West Virginia. Well, it's still considered south, I think. But anyways, she's up there, and they're down here in Mississippi. So keep them in your prayers. And if there's anyone else that y'all want me to add to the prayer list, because I pray for them daily, and I also try to remember to ask y'all or remind y'all or tell y'all so y'all can be praying for them too. So anybody that needs to be on the prayer list, put it in the chat, leave it in a comment on any video, or send me an email if you want it to be private. And if you do want it to be private, if you don't want me to say it on this on one of my live streams, if you don't want me to share it, just say, please keep this to yourself or whatever, and I will do that. I don't have to share everything that y'all say, like if y'all don't want me to. Because there have been some people who ask me to pray for them, but I don't mention to y'all, because your hubby and sister-in-law, okay. Hi, Joanne. Okay. And yeah, Amy has been going through some health things. I think we finally figured out one of the things that's going on with her. Hopefully the blood test. Well, you can say if you want to, Amy. I don't want to say, I don't think you care, because, I mean, I'm sure you want people to pray for you, but y'all know she has migraines. But I think that possibly, maybe, blood test has helped figure out which one of them was, what one of the problems is. Yes as in I can say, or yes as in I don't know, I'm so confused. Okay, so I'll wait. I'm not going to wait, but I'll say if she says. So I'll butt into my own stuff. You don't care. Okay. She's found out that she has a very low iron, which I've had before. They were actually talking about doing an iron infusion. Low iron can cause migraines. It can also be that dehydration can help with that, and she has had a little bit of dehydration, but low iron is one of the things. So y'all pray that her iron goes up. Which, Joanne, you know, how is your stuff going with all the things, Joanne? I haven't asked you in a while, but you can answer if you want to, and then I'm going to go ahead and get started. And I have 2 notebooks that I've taken notes in. I've got 2. No, I just told a lie. I've got 3, because I want to keep them separate. I know that might sound crazy, but I want them, like, this one I use just for the books. This one is for the books, but I'm also wanting to keep it for something else too. And then this is just because today, the stuff, well, not today, but when I started taking notes, I just needed somewhere else to put it. So I did. Your iron is still low. Yours is lower, I believe, than Amy's. I can't remember what Amy's exact number was, but I think it was 11 point something. I could be wrong. But anyway, y'all, we still need to be praying for Joanne to get her iron to go up. But let's go ahead with the Bible study. I have a feeling this is going to be a lot. I don't know. But I have another feeling that Lois is going to be happy, because I didn't even realize whenever she asked me a question the other day when we were going to be talking about Revelation. We're going to be touching on Revelation a little bit today. I did put scriptures that I may or may not use in the description box, and I also put websites that I'm planning on using. Actually, y'all can see one of the websites right here, and we'll get to that in a minute. First, the books. The reading we were supposed to do, I'm just going to go over like a quick overview of each chapter, what was in it. Not like the in depth, but just a quick. This is what was in there, and what I've been getting this from is my Bible. Well, duh, but I've been getting it from like what my Bible says is in each thing, like each not chapter, because some of it's more than one thing in a chapter, but each topic. I've been getting it from that, and that's why I have it in this little book, so I can keep all the topics like in there. And then that's why I use different. I'm weird. Okay, let's just face it. I'm weird. Yours was 11. Okay. All right. So Joanne may be able to give you some tips, Amy. I don't know, because she's going through it too, but it's probably not the same exact thing. It may not be. It may be. Who knows? But maybe she can give you some tips. But let's go ahead we went through. This is not right. I am on the wrong page. I was fixing to go over last week's. Matthew 23 through 28, and then Leviticus 1 through 15. We went through that. And in Matthew 23 is Jesus criticizes the religious leaders. Because y'all know that the cat scared me. She's scratching on a scratching post. I didn't know what it was, because I have the front screen open, like the door open, because of it's 64 degrees in Alabama. We need some nice fresh air from the city. I don't know if you can get fresh air from the city, but I'm trying. But anyway, something other than inside air, and I didn't know what was at the door, and it wasn't at the door, it was a cat. So let me start over. In chapter 23, Jesus criticizes the religious leaders. The religious leaders of the time were very legalistic, I would say. I think that's what the only word I can come up with of how they were acting. They were following the old law and everything, but they were mixing it up too. And then Jesus grieves over Jerusalem. Chapter 24, Jesus foretells the future, which is what we're going to get into today. And 25, the parable of the 10 bridesmaids, the parable of the 3 servants, and then the final judgment. 26, the plot to kill Jesus. Jesus was anointed at Bethany. Judas agrees to betray Jesus. The Last Supper. Jesus predicts Peter's denial. Jesus prays in Gethsemane. There's something I want to know. Okay, I've always heard it Gethsemane, but it's spelt Gethsemane. Gethsemane. Nope. Did I spell it wrong? Let me look. Where's my Bible? I have 2 over here. What am I talking about? How is it spelled? I did have 4 Bibles sitting here, and I thought, no, I can't. I gotta put less. I can't do 4. Chapter 26. Okay. Maybe I could read my own notes. That would help. It's spelled Gethsemane. It sounds like it'd be Gethsemane, not Gethsemane. But I've always heard it called Gethsemane. I don't know. It really doesn't matter, but I don't know. It's just, that's the way my brain works. So let's keep going. Jesus is betrayed and arrested, and Peter denies Jesus. In chapter 27, Judas hangs himself. And also something else I noticed whenever I was reading this, Judas hangs himself. When I never did, I know I've read this, but I never paid attention. Whenever he gave the money back, they considered it blood money, and they wouldn't accept it. Instead, what did they do with it? Let me look. I want to get it right. I don't want to get it wrong here. Let's see. All right, he cast down the pieces of silver in the temple and departed and went and hanged himself. And the chief priest took the silver pieces and said, "It is not lawful for us to put them into the treasury because it is a price of blood." And they took counsel and bought with them the potter's field to bury strangers in. So they couldn't accept it, even though they were being evil by doing what they were doing. But it was okay to buy land to bury, which, I mean, it's a good thing to have a potter's field for people that couldn't afford to be buried, or for, like it says, strangers or something like that. It's good to have that, but the field was called the field of blood. It's so sad that's the way I was like, what? Wait a minute. Why didn't I ever hear that before? Why didn't I ever see that before? Why didn't I ever know that they didn't accept the money back? I really didn't even pay attention to what Judas had done with the money. I just was angry at him. Even though I knew it had to happen, Jesus knew it had to happen for us to have a Savior. Or for us to, have a second chance, I guess you could say. So, let's keep going. Where am I at? Peter, let's see. Soldiers mocked Jesus. The crucifixion happened. The death of Jesus. The burial of Jesus. And then the guard at the tomb. And then the 28, the resurrection. And the report of the guard. And then the Great Commission. So, that was all of Matthew. And each one of the Gospels tells it differently. And each one has a little bit more insight because different people wrote that. So, it's from their point of view. And I feel like it's a wonderful way for us to be able to truly understand what Jesus was going through. But now I'm going to go on to Leviticus 1 through 15, and I'm just going to go over this real quick. We're not really going to study this at all today. Even though some of what's in the books, it's like talking about this stuff. In some ways, like it's talking about the rules. I didn't pull from the books because something else felt like it I wanted to do. Anyways, let's go on. 1, the burnt offerings. And this is all the ways that they had to do things. Something, I did make a note. Where's my note? It was a little note. A very, very little note. It was a little note, but it was a thought that I had. And before I do get into this, because we're going to talk about the sacrifices, the offerings, and how this was all done. My thing was sacrifices. We need to learn what the people went through to appreciate now. Are we supposed, and that was the one thing, that was one little note. Like, we need to know what they went through. Each of these traditions of how the animal was killed and how that they were to be cleansed of all these different things. We need to know that. And I know a lot of people say, oh, I don't want to read Leviticus. I don't want to go through all these thises and that's and all this stuff. I don't want to do that. That's what people say, But it's important for us to learn. Everything in the Bible is important for us to learn. All right, and then the second question I had, because y'all know I like to cook. Y'all know I feed people. And I don't know, like, you'll hear it in tonight's video because I mentioned it, that I don't know about Jeff. He hadn't really said anything. But Noah and I are like kind of I don't know if we're tired of pork or if we're getting to the point we just maybe, I don't know. I don't think it's a conviction. I don't know. I know it's not a conviction. But there's something about pork lately with us that we just don't want it as much. And we have a lot of it and we're not going to waste it, so we're going to eat it anyway. And we're going to just deal with it. But there's something, I don't know. Anyway, I do talk about that a little bit in my video tonight, but a very, very little bit, so don't expect a lot. But my question was, are we supposed to take the parts of the animals away that God said not to eat when we butcher now? Because there were certain parts, oh man, I wish I would have wrote it down. There's certain parts that God said, maybe we can talk about it some other time. That God said, do not eat this, to take this and use it as a burnt offering, like the fats and the blood and all this stuff. And I know that there's blood and meat, and we're going to be talking about some grossness a little bit, because y'all are all y'all cook. You know what? You're not vegetarians, at least the ones that are here. I know. Whenever you get beef, it has blood in it. Well, beef is the one that most of the time, let's just say steak. There's a lot of people that don't cook their steak very much at all. There's still a lot of blood in it. Are we supposed to eat it like that? Is that something we're supposed to do? I don't know. I am now questioning it. Even though I've read Leviticus before several times, it's like now I see things more, and I think maybe it's because I have this more hunger of it. You'll ask him because of him, but see, the thing is, Jeff has butchered animals before. He knows how. But what I'm saying is, say we get some beef, like we get a roast, okay? Well, we know that fat is flavor. We leave a little bit of that fat on that roast whenever we're cooking it to make it, yummy and all that juiciness and all that stuff, right? Well, we eat it. Are we supposed to? Yes, Lois, that's what I thought too. But I do wonder sometimes if the reason why, this is why I wonder. Y'all know there's a whole lot more sickness, which the Bible says there's going to be more sickness. It is in there. But I wonder if it's because we're not eating the way God says. I don't know. I got a lot of questions now. And I just thought I would bring it up so that if y'all had the questions, maybe we could try to figure it out together. Or maybe we could, I don't know, question together. I don't know. I don't even know if we'll be able to find the answers. But they're just questions that popped up. And I just wanted to know if other people thought like me. And I know that all the food, it's clean now. From New Testament, it says, which I could find it, but I got so much. Let me finish this. But anyway, it was a question I had. Leviticus 1 through 15. It's what they're putting in our food. That's right. That's one reason why I've started trying to make a lot of my own things from scratch, which still, some of those ingredients are not the best, but I'm trying to do better, if that makes sense. Chapter 1, the burnt offering. Chapter 2, the grain offering. Chapter 3, the fellowship offering. Chapter 4, the sin offering. Chapter 5, cases requiring sin offering and the restitution offering. 6 is the burnt offering and the grain offering, and the sin offering. 7, the restitution offering, the fellowship sacrifice, fat and blood prohibited. That's where it was. Oh, let's look. Come here, Bible. Why'd I pull this one up? It's got bigger letters. I can see it better. That's why it's so ginormous, because it's got the big letters. Okay. Why am I going that way? That's the wrong way. You're supposed to be going to Leviticus lady, whatever you are. Lately. Okay. Okay, what was that? 7. Alright, and And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, Ye shall not eat any fat of ox or sheep or goat, and the fat of an animal that dies naturally, and the fat of that what is torn by wild beasts may be used in any other way, but you shall not by no means eat it. Okay, any other way. Now, I know that they use fat to tan hides of animals. Maybe that's what it means. I don't know. For whoever eats the fat of an animal of which men offer an offering made by fire to the Lord. Maybe it's just offerings. Now that I'm reading it again. Maybe it's just the offerings. That those things weren't supposed to be eaten. I don't know. Moreover, you should not eat any blood in any of your dwellings, whether or bird or beast. Whoever eats any blood, that person shall be cut off from his people. I don't know. It was just questions I had. You need to go away. You're not supposed to be there. If y'all don't have swag bucks, there's a link in my link tree. Y'all can get free money by clicking on things. Anyway, that's what popped up, and I know y'all probably saw it. But I don't know. It was something that popped in my head, so I wrote it down on a little tiny Post-it note. That now I'm out of that color for now. I went on to purple. Alright, and then there's a portion for the priest in chapter 7. 8, ordination of Aaron and his sons. 9, the priestly ministry inaugurated. 10, Nadab and Abihu, regulation, and then that's when they broke the rules. Alright, and then regulations of priest. 11, clean and unclean land animals. Clean and unclean aquatic animals. Unclean birds, clean and unclean flying insects, and then purification after touching dead animals, and unclean swarming creatures. 12 is purification after childbirth. 13 is skin diseases, contaminated fabrics, which y'all, I have thought about this years. Oh, your niece was surgery today? Why was I thinking it was next week? I told y'all a fib and didn't try to. Why was I thinking it was next week? I should have remembered it was today. Because today is my grandmother's birthday, and I should have remembered it by associating it with that, but I don't know why. Usually I do that. It's weird. But is she's doing good? Okay. That's good. So, that's a good update we got. But y'all know that if y'all are like watching my videos, you know I talk about that I have eczema on my hands and feet. And there's times whenever the eczema has been a whole lot worse than it is now. Like right now, you can see my hands and, you know, they look kind of normal. Just a little dry from, you know, dishwashing and stuff. They look okay. I don't have a breakout or I don't know what you call it. There's nothing going on right now with them. But I wonder, whenever you read all that in chapter 13 about the skin diseases, if I would have been one of those people that they said was unclean. Because it comes back and forth. My hormones, I have learned, is a big part of when I have breakouts, when I have the times whenever it's there more. I wonder if I would have been one of those people. And it's just something I can't control. It's eczema. It's not like anything else. But would I have been one of those people because I had lesions on my hands? I don't know. I've thought about it a lot. Then 14 is cleansing of skin diseases and cleansing of contaminated objects. 15 is bodily discharges. 16 is the Day of the Atonement. 17 is forbidden sacrifices, eating blood, and carcasses prohibited again. Let's talk about that. So that's what all of it was about. And I'm kind of tempted to go ahead and go over the questions and answers for this so that I can get to the other. Real quick, y'all tell me, do you want me to go ahead and go over the questions and answers for this or go on to the other? Because the other has nothing to do with this. Even though we read the chapters that I'm going to be talking about. Y'all tell me real quick while I put this back in here. Because, I don't know, there may be a long delay. I don't know. But in a way, I feel like it would be better to go over the questions and answers. I just kind of feel that way. I don't know. I don't know a lot of things today. Jeff is on the new shift, which Herman is too, Flora's husband. And things are just odd. Do the questions and answers? Okay. Alright, so we'll go on to the questions and answers. And just do that real quick and then go on to the other. Now, y'all, if you have the books, you read them, I'm sure. Because I don't know why that, I mean, I know that some of you might not be able to read all of it, but it's talking about rules. We all have rules. There's all kinds of rules we have. We have to have rules. If we don't have rules, the world is a wreck. It's a wreck as it is, but it'd be even worse. Just think about it. If there wasn't rules, how much worse our lives would be. Well, it talks about that, and talks about how that in this one, how that people can betray your trust and how you cut off people and all this stuff. And my thing is, I've never completely cut off anyone. There's people that I don't talk to as often. There's people that I don't. Well, there's some people from like school and stuff that I have not seen in a bajillion years. I don't know, is a bajillion a real thing? Because that's what I say all the time. If it's a real thing, I'd be lying all the time. So maybe I shouldn't say it. But anyway, in a very long time, there's some people I have not seen. Some because, you know, you hang out with certain friends and you find out they're not what they should be. And then you quit hanging around with them. Some because, you know, school's done. They went their way, you went your way. That kind of thing. And then there's some that, you know, moved away or stuff like that. There's some people that we just lose touch with. But I don't think I've ever cut off anyone to where I just will not talk to them at all. Where that I'm not civil, where I'm not loving, where I'm not, you know, I'm not going to be rude or anything. Well, anyways, this has some questions. It's got 3 different questions. What are some of the rules for relationships with other people? What are your do's and don'ts? And I just wrote down my do's and don'ts. My do's, be truthful, respect my wishes. Like, if I have boundaries, if I say I'm not going to live that way or I'm not going to do that, that's not something I do, then I want you to respect that just like I would respect you. If not, then we'd have to come up with an agree to disagree situation where that we would have to, or else we couldn't be around each other. My don'ts, if I say no, it means no. And don't push me and don't meddle in my life. I don't like people meddling in my life and trying to figure out dirt. I've had that happen a lot, where people were like trying to find things that weren't there. That's one reason that one lady that I talked, well, since I moved here, that I thought we were okay friends. Well, she was a little meddly, trying to make things that weren't there in my life be there, but they, you know, because they were there in hers, we don't talk anymore. Let's just say it that way. Because she was trying to, what is the word? Anyway, she was trying to make me have the same problems she did when I don't, and trying to make me think I did. I don't know how to explain it. But anyway, and then don't expect more of me than I'm willing to give. If I say I can't do any more than what I'm able to do, that's it. That's my limit. We all have our limits. And I know that might sound terrible, but we all have our yeses and nos, our do's and don'ts. And if we don't have those boundaries, we're going to end up hurting ourselves and hurting our marriage, hurting our children, hurting our lives in all kinds of ways. So we just have to have those. Number 2, do you have any deal breakers? Is there anything that you would that will utterly destroy a friendship or relationship for you? Backbiting, gossip, bringing up things that I don't want to talk about, things that don't need to be talked about, things that are private. I don't want that. If you lie on me or try to cause harm to me or my family, I mean, because that has happened. Since I moved here, actually, the pastor's wife lied on, well, one of the churches we went to, the pastor's wife lied on my son. That's why we quit going to that church. So, I was like, yeah, no, I'm not going to be in that. So it's just something that I'm not going to do. And then, what grace have you given to others that you wish others would give to you? I have heard people out and respected their boundaries. That's the thing. People don't respect other people's boundaries. And we all have boundaries. We may not voice them, but we do have boundaries. Now, if we don't voice our boundaries, it's our own fault if people don't follow that. So that was my answers to this book. Y'all may have totally different ones. But that was my answers to that book. And then this book, it does things differently. It actually pulls from the scripture and asks questions. Can I turn the page, please? There we go. All right, Matthew 23 through 25, Jesus ridiculed legal experts who established unrealistic expectations. Why do you think it is so hard for leaders to accept Jesus and his message? Well, my answer was they thought he was nothing more than a carpenter's son. They didn't see him for who he was. And that's why I feel like they saw him as a lowly carpenter's son. And, I mean, he wasn't anything to be listened to or anyone to be listened to. That's what I think. Number 2, Matthew 26 through 28. What does Matthew 26, 36 through 39 reveal to you about prayer? To me, prayer should be a priority. I believe that's what this was saying, is prayer should be priority. It shouldn't be just a second thought. It shouldn't be, oh, life is hard, let me pray. It should be every day praying. Anytime you think about someone, like you think about someone on the prayer list, pray for them. If you hear about somebody who is having, issues, pray for them. You drive down the road, there's a wreck, you pray for them. You pray for the ambulance driver. You pray for the people that are in the ambulance. Pray for the doctors and nurses who will get, it doesn't have to be a super long prayer, because honestly, those super long, hear me out, no, that's not the right words. The super long, I'm praying just for you to hear me pray, those are not what we need. A quick prayer is easy, because it's just like a conversation with a friend, because that's who Jesus is. He's a friend. God is our friend. We can just, like a quick, hey, would you, help this situation? It's just something, you just talk to God like you would anybody. So now, the third one. Leviticus 1 through 4, what do the instructions given to the Israelite community reveal about God? I wrote that he's orderly. He has a specific thing for every specific thing. He has order. And I don't think he likes the chaos. And the world is in chaos. And that's not what he wanted for his people. And that's what I wrote with that. That he's orderly. Leviticus 5 through 8, like Aaron and his sons, we can all be spiritually cleaned and renewed. How has God done this for you? Number 4, I wrote, he has brought things to my attention that I needed to see. He brought things to me that I needed to see about myself, about other people, about my habits, about the way I was taught things growing up, the way I was taught things as an adult, the way I was taught in church about what was right or wrong, even though it was, legalistic. He's brought these things to me because I've been in his word. I've studied. Let's see. 5. Leviticus 9 through 12. The priest initiation helps us see there are things we must do to hear from God clearly. Are there things you need to get rid of? I don't think there is. Not that I know. I've gotten rid of so much. Now, if there is something that I'm doing or saying or thinking that God says, hey, you got to stop that. That's got to be cut out of your life. I will drop it in a second. Well, I'll try to. I will ask him to help me. There's been things that I had to have. He had to keep helping me. I had to keep asking for him to bring me through. I think that's what part of sanctification is him helping you through it. Yeah, we're going to mess up. We're going to say things. We're going to do things. All this stuff. But he's going to help us through it. And I don't know of anything right now. If there is anything, I do ask God to reveal those things to me. And I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not saying that at all. I am far from perfect. But at this point in my life, I think that God has a lot of those things there's nothing new that he's shown me. There's still things I'm fighting. There's still things that come back and the old me pops up and I have to ask God to forgive me for, but okay, Lois. But there's still things that happen. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not saying I get it all right, but it's just that kind of thing where it's a process, I guess you could say. But there's nothing new, I could say. Number 6, Leviticus 13 through 15, there are provisions described to improve the health of Israel, the Israelites. I can't read. In what ways can you honor this by taking better care of your mind, body, and soul? That's all right, Lori. Be more mindful of what I'm doing. That's the thing I can do. I can be more mindful of what I'm doing, what I'm saying, what I'm eating, what I'm drinking, what I'm, all that stuff. In fact, I've been more mindful, Jeff and I both, and of course Noah has to follow along because he's eating what I cook and stuff. And I know I don't cook the most wonderful things sometimes. Sometimes it's unhealthy. I mean, I cooked lots of bread lately, but bread can be healthy as well. But anyway, like sodas and stuff, I'm not drinking those. I've replaced it with other things. God's been wrecking me lately with my wrong beliefs about the gifts of the Spirit and depth of how I trust and obey Him. Yeah, that He does. I mean, I'm not saying that I don't have anything that God is working on in me, but there's nothing new. There's still things that I'm still working on. I have a very, I used to say I had an anger issue. I thought that I had gone through it and I was okay. The thing was, I just didn't have anything to be real angry about at the time, or I wasn't paying attention to when I was getting angry because I wasn't angry like I used to be. I've learned. God's still working on that. He's still taking me through that. So, I don't know if what I'm going to talk about next is anything y'all be even I know you're interested in it because it's biblical, it's in the Bible and everything. But as you can see, we've got here a picture. Okay, this picture is showing what the modern day of what it looks like now. But if you can imagine this with, I can't show y'all. What am I doing? This right here. This, if I am correct, is where the temple used to be. God's temple. From this viewpoint is what Jesus was looking at when he was up on the Mount of Olives in chapter 24. Okay, Mary. So I want to look at chapter 24. I think I just heard Jeff get home too. I want to look at chapter 24 and 25, and I want to go over what Jesus said because he's talking about the destruction of the temple in the last days. He's talking about signs of the end times. You got quiet whenever you closed that door. What are you doing? What is wrong with you? Oh, his knee popped. I don't know why. It looked like he almost fell. But anyway, this is where that he's talking about the signs of what's going to happen and everything. So I want to go over that because that's what stood out to me when I was reading this week. even though I read Leviticus after Matthew 24 and 25 is what stuck out to me. So I want to go over it some. I'll read it from this one because it's got bigger words. I can see it better. I don't know why it's two different versions, King James and New King James, but it's not that much difference. The dishes in the dishwasher are clean. I haven't done it yet. He usually puts his work bowl in there. But anyway, where was that at? He's going to be talking about the destruction of the temple. Val said hi.
Hello.
He said hello. And I want to talk about that. So I'm going to read a little bit of it. I don't know if I'm going to read all of it. Or I may read some and then I may go over some stuff. I don't know. But I don't even know how to set this up to where I can look at it. One thing I want to talk about is when Jesus went to the Mount of Olives, he took 4 of his disciples. He took Peter, James, John, and Andrew. He had 12 disciples with him, but he only took 4. I don't know why, but he only took 4, and that stood out to me. And a lot of people call this the Olivet Discourse. So that's why that I have these, and I may or may not go to these at all. I don't know. But that's why I have these, and I do have them down below. But I wish I could. Let me see if I can find like a painting of what it might have looked like before all these buildings were there. Cecily's in Birmingham today at Children. Yeah, I knew she was supposed to be there. I don't know if there'd be one that, like, I don't know if there would be something that would show what it actually looks like. I should have done that before. But as always, there's always something I should have done before. That would have shown what it kind of looked like in Jesus' time. Or what it should have looked like, or maybe looked like, that kind of thing. I don't know if there's a picture. It'd have to be something someone drew. It wouldn't be the real thing. Let's see what this is. Oh, wow. It's a painting you can buy. No thanks. I don't want to buy it. I don't want to buy it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Y'all can probably find it or just imagine it. Just imagine that without all the city. Because it wasn't like that. So, I want to start reading in chapter 24. Also, I headed to Jackson Hospital yesterday. Had a 6mm stone. Here for passing fast. So it's a 6mm this time? But don't you have 4 stones? I think you said you had 4. I could be wrong. Because I may not remember everything. What are you looking for? Do you want to come over here and do Bible study with me? No, because you didn't study beforehand and you can't help. Alright, so I'm going to start in chapter 24. Then Jesus went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came up to show him the buildings of the temple. And Jesus said to them, Do you not see all these things? Assuredly I say to you, not one stone shall be left here upon another that shall not be thrown down. So, he's saying that the temple is going to be destroyed. And that's why I wanted to pull this up. In AD 70 is when I've read a lot of things that the Romans destroyed the Jewish temple. That's when it happened. So that prophecy has been fulfilled. Jesus said that it would be destroyed, and it happened. Alright, and then it says, Now as he sat on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately, saying, Tell us, when will these things be, and what will be the sign of your coming at the end of the age? And Jesus answered and said to them, Take heed that no one deceives you, for many will come in my name, saying, I am the Christ, and will deceive many. And you will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famines, pestilences, and earthquakes in various places. All these are beginning of sorrows. Okay, so Jesus is saying to the four, because they ask a question, and that's something else I wanted to bring up, is it's okay to ask God questions. It's okay to ask Jesus questions. Because as here, I feel, this is my thought, I could be wrong, but I feel like he's okay with us asking questions. He's okay, not questioning him, but it's okay to ask, why did this happen? Why does this happen this way? God will send us somewhere in the Word to get answers, I feel like. But he's saying that there's going to be wars and rumors of wars. Y'all know that there's constantly wars going on. And there's always people talking about, well, we're going to go to war with this one. They're going to war over there, and they're going, that kind of thing. Sometimes it's just rumors. It's not real. But it says that we're not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. It has to happen. It said that there will be nations rising against nation, which we know, kingdom against kingdom, which we know has happened, and there will be famines, pestilences, and earthquakes in various places. Y'all know that just recently there was a terrible earthquake in Turkey and Syria, I believe it was. Thousands of people lost their lives. Thousands. And here in Alabama, I don't think I've ever heard of tornadoes. Jeff, have you ever heard of tornadoes like we've been having?
Nope.
Never have I ever heard of tornadoes like we've been having. There's all kinds of things. Earthquakes in North Carolina, South Carolina. Things that I've never heard of before. And we live in a time where everything is easy to find out about. Everything. Because that's the way it is. Now, it might be that those things might have happened sometimes, but they weren't documented. But most of the time you hear it, through word of mouth. It'll still be somehow, there'll be somebody saying something. There's been more like crops being destroyed by bugs and different things. There's more like, what is it, killer hornets, Jeff? Was that what it was or something not a couple years ago? Some kind of killer bees that we never heard of before. All these things. Now, I'm not saying Jesus is coming back tomorrow. I'm not saying when he's coming back, because I don't know. None of us know. But all these things are happening in our time. Does that mean that Jesus is coming back in our lifetime? I don't know. He may. It may be 100, 200, 1,000 years after I'm gone. I don't know. But the things are getting worse if you pay attention. Verse 9. Then they will deliver you up to the tribulation and kill you, and you will be hated by all nations for my name's sakes. I feel like that part, that's okay, Lois. I feel like that part is saying that Christians are going to be condemned. You know that that's happening all the time now. Christians are being, they're like second-class citizens. They're treated differently. They're treated like crazy people. Like we have some sort of craziness that we believe in some imaginary God and all this stuff, which they believe in all this other stuff that really makes no sense. At least our God has been around since the beginning, and it can be proven. And the Bible has been around forever, and it can't, it's not some new thing that just popped up like they believe in. Like some of them believe in, and I say they as in lots of different people, not one certain group. So we're deemed crazy. There's some countries where the Christians are being killed. I don't know for sure if that's what Jesus is talking about, but it kind of feels like that's what he's saying, is that up to the tribulation, and they're going to be killed, and then many will be offended will betray one another and will hate one another. Then many false prophets will rise up and deceive many, and because lawlessness will abound, the love of many will grow cold. But he who endures to the end shall be saved, and this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in all the world as a witness to all the nations, and then the end will come. So, why didn't I write the reference down? Because I'm crazy. The next one is the Great Tribulation. Therefore, when you see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, standing in the holy place, whoever reads, let him understand. Then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. All right, so I'm going to go to Daniel 8:13. All right. It says, Then I heard the Holy One speaking, and another Holy One said to that certain one who was speaking, How long will the vision be concerning the daily sacrifices and the transgressions of the desolation, the giving of both the sanctuary and the host of the trampled underfoot? So, when you see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet standing in the holy place, whoever reads, let him understand. So, that part in the little note in this Bible, it says, the verse describes a major change in the intensity of the tribulation. It's the first 3.5 years. In its first 3.5 years will have ended, and its last 3.5 years will be the beginning, launched by the abomination of the desolation. This event was prefigured by the actions of the Syrian king Antiochus, 175 to 164 BC. Because he hated Jewish sacrifices in the Jerusalem temple, he halted them and defiled the temple by setting up a heathen altar to Zeus. In the future, the Antichrist will break a covenant with the nation of Israel, set himself up as a god in the rebuilt temple, and demand that all people worship him. It definitely takes a lot more faith to not believe in God. That's true. It does. All right, so I have two different study Bibles, and they're both, this is actually a prophecy study Bible, and the other one, the ones that I'm using today, y'all know I got a lot of Bibles. This one is David Jeremiah's, and he does a lot of prophecy study too. So that's why I wanted to use these. Plus this large print, I can see it a little bit better. That one is. But let's go to this one. Let's see, where was I at? I was in verse 15. Okay. Can you stay there? Yeah, like that. I want to see if there was a note on here. No. It just talks about the Olivet Discourse. It has no note. So there's nothing there. But it does show, oh, here's one. The word ye must be taken generically as you of the Jewish nation. The abomination of desolation recalls Daniel 9:27. Ooh, let's go there because I know I have it marked. Is that why I marked that? Alright, Daniel 9:27. Then he shall confirm a covenant with many for 1 week, but in the middle of the week he shall bring an end to sacrifice and offering, and on the wing of abomination shall be one who makes desolate, even unto the consumption which is determined is poured out on the desolate. So let's see, where was I at? 11:31. Go there. Nope. That's not 11:31. Yes, it is. I just couldn't mark 31 because it's too far over. And forces shall be mustered by him, and they shall defile the sanctuary fortress. Then they shall take away the daily sacrifices and place there the abomination of desolation. So it's saying that the Antichrist is going to do all of these things to make it look like he is good, make it look like he is working for God even, possibly. And then in the middle of everything, he's going to like a rug swept from under your feet. He's going to take it all away. He's going to destroy everything. That's what I understand. Now, I could be wrong, but that's what I understand. In this Bible, I don't know how well you're going to be able to see it. There's a picture there. Maybe you can screenshot it or something. I don't know. I don't know if you might even want to, but it shows the Olivet Discourse, and it shows destruction of the temple, the sign, a world war, famines, pestilence, and earthquakes, and then it's the rapture, and then tribulation begins, the generation that sees these things will not pass until it's fulfilled. It's just got all of the different things. Now, I know some people believe the rapture will happen before the tribulation starts. Some believe that it's going to happen in the middle of the tribulation. I don't know. I'm not going to try to say. I don't know. I have heard very good things on both sides, but I have not figured it out myself, and I'm not really trying to figure it out. I'm not going to try to figure out when God is going to take us out of here, because I could be wrong, and if I'm thinking it's going to be before the tribulation starts, I won't be ready for the tribulation, is what I'm trying to say. I don't know if that makes sense. Hi, Tammy. I don't know if that, there's things I have heard my whole life, and then there's things that I don't know. And honestly, I haven't learned it from the Bible itself yet. I'm trying, but I have not learned it myself. And until I do, I'm not going to try to make up my mind, or whatever. And I'm not going to try to make someone else make up their mind, because honestly, it doesn't matter when Jesus comes back. We're supposed to be ready anytime, no matter when it is. So that's what matters, is we should be ready. All right, so then chapter 24 goes on to talk about the Great Tribulation. And then in verse 29 talks about the coming of the Son of Man. And Jesus says, immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give us light. The stars will fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens will be shaken. Then the sign of the Son of Man will appear in heaven, and then all the tribes of the earth will mourn, and they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he will send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they will gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. So Jesus is saying that he's going to come back. I've heard it both ways, and I'm not going to argue which way's right, because I don't know. And as I've said, I could be wrong about a lot of things that I read in the Bible and I study from the Bible. And that's why I say, y'all go ahead and study with me. You study, you study and get what it is that God wants you to have. And I'm not going to tell you I'm right, if that makes sense. I'm not going to tell you I'm wrong either, because I don't know. I'm just telling you what I have learned. And the reason why I want to do these studies is so that we can learn together. So then, let's see, where was that? In Daniel 12:11, it says, and from the time that the daily sacrifice is taken away, the abomination of desolation is set up, there shall be 1,290 days. Blessed is he who waits and comes to the 1,335 days. But you go your way to the end, for you shall rest and will arise to your inheritance at the end of the days. So, I just feel like arguing about it is not going to help us. And I don't know either way. And I'm not saying anybody's arguing. Please don't get me wrong, but I've heard people argue. It's crazy. Because it doesn't matter when he's coming. We're supposed to be ready. No matter what. And this is what I believe that the Olivet Discourse is talking about. Jesus himself. And this is why I wanted to bring this up today. Jesus himself, okay, let me try to say this in a way that you can understand where I'm coming from. I have read the Bible over and over again. I've read things, I've read it. But anytime I read it, sometimes there's things that come up that I didn't read. Like, it didn't sink in. And I really never thought about much about Jesus talking about the end times. And here he is doing it. And that is why I wanted to talk about this today. Because anytime I think about Bible prophecy of the end times, I think about Daniel and Revelation. And Revelation 4 through 18 is a lot. I mean, it's a lot. And Daniel, a lot of it is talking about the end times, about what's going to happen. But Jesus is talking about it because 4 of his disciples came to him and asked him questions. They came to him and they asked him, they said, tell us, when will these things be, and what will the sign of your coming and of the end of the age? They asked him, and he told them, and I never really paid attention to it. I didn't think about, oh, well, Jesus is talking about the end times here. He's telling parables. He's talking about the parable of the fig tree. Now learn this parable from the fig tree. When its branch has already become tender and put forth leaves, you know that summer is near. So you also, when you see all these things, know that it is near at the doors. Assuredly, I say to you, this generation will by no means pass away till all these things take place. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will be by no means pass away. Whenever I ever read that, I just thought, oh, well, he says that, his word is not going to go anywhere. It's going to always be here. I didn't think about the fact that he's talking about the end times in that parable. At least that's what I feel like he's talking about now. And I know that he said no one knows the day or the hour. I know he said that, but I didn't realize he went in depth with it. And that's the reason why I wanted to bring this up today, is because the little parables he spoke weren't just little stories. They were big things, like the parable of the wise and foolish virgins. 5 of them, they went ahead and they had their oil ready. And a lot of people say, oh, well, that's why we prep. And y'all know we prep. We're not extreme preppers, but we do have preps and we have things, just in case. But I've heard a lot of people say, well, that's why we prep. That's why we have this, why we have that. That's not what Jesus was talking about. I don't feel like he was talking about be ready, have your heart ready. Whenever he comes back, don't be lost. Don't be one of those who never accepted him. Don't be one of those who just said, oh, I've got time, I'll do it later. Oh, I'm going to live a long time. I'm going to have my fun now, and then whenever, before I die, I'll ask Jesus to save me. That kind of thing. And I know that's simple virgin or simple terms, but I don't know. That's the only way I can think to do it. And then, like the parable of the talents, he's talking about how that one had done, had multiplied it, had 10 instead of 5, and another had 4 instead of 2. I think that's right. Am I right? Is it 4 instead of 2? Yes. And then the other one just buried it. They just buried that one. They had 1. They didn't multiply it. Well, I don't believe that he's talking about money. I think he's talking about people. I think he's talking about going out into the highways and byways and in your friends and family, and instead of you burying yourself in your home and keeping God to yourself, tell other people. Talk to them. Let them know that there's something else greater than what they are and what you are and what this world is. I don't think the talents are money. I think it's people. I could be wrong about that, but that's kind of how it feels to me. And then it says the Son of Man will judge the nations. Well, I knew that. I mean, I've read Revelation. I haven't studied it extensively because it's kind of scary. Revelation is a very scary book, which we will be getting to it later on in these studies. We'll be getting more in depth, I believe. I think that I'm right. It doesn't matter. It's okay. One day we're probably going to study it. But I believe that, it's saying on here, like, Jesus is telling us, and I never paid attention to this. I mean, yes, I read it. Yes, I've heard it in church. But I never paid attention that Jesus is telling us in Matthew, the first book of the New Testament, the very first book of the New Testament, he's telling us he's coming back. And it's not like, I made it very hard whenever I was reading it before, but it's very simple. I think I tried to overstudy, overcompensate, overdo things. And I feel like that sometimes we do that. We overcomplicate things. And Jesus said it simply. He's coming back. Nobody knows when. Gather more so they don't gather the lost so they're not left here. So they're not going to hell. Gather them, bring them with you so that they're not out there in this lost, horrible abomination, because that's what the world is turning into. Y'all see all the things happening. I mean, you would have to be never looking at anything. Like, it's all over YouTube, and I know every one of y'all look at YouTube because you are right now. It's all over YouTube, some of the things that are happening, and no, you may not see it on your normal feed because it may not be recommended to you, but I'm pretty sure that some of you have seen the things that happened at the Grammys and the things that are happening in the world where that there's different storms and different things. And Jeff and I went like 2 different times recently. We were not even trying to go where that these tornadoes went through. Jeff, come tell them about some of the stuff you saw whenever you went through the other day. He's gone 3 different times. We're not even trying. Like, big, huge 3-story homes that have just been built, absolutely destroyed by these, what did you say, it was a mile wide?
About a half a mile.
Oh, probably about a half mile wide. These things that you don't hear about or see about. And I'm not saying that means Jesus is coming tomorrow. I don't know. But I want to be ready. And I want to have other people ready. And that's one reason why that I asked y'all to pray for Selena. I want everybody to be ready. I don't want anybody to be left behind. I don't want anyone to, and I know that the Left Behind series and Left Behind movies and all that stuff has kind of, some people don't even want to hear those 2 words put together. But that's what it is. They're going to be left behind because they're going to be with the Antichrist. They're going to be left to hell. And they need to know they have hope. They don't have to go there. And even people who have been brought up in it don't always know. I asked Storm down in Warren, Arkansas, there was a tree that fell on a gentleman's truck. 3.5 hours later, they pulled him out, and he walked home to go eat. Not a scratch on him. That's a miracle. Oh, yes, that definitely is, Carol. There's a lot of things like that you hear. A lot of things where God is protecting people. I mean, there was one lady that was on the news whenever these storms, she wasn't at home, but if she had been home, she wouldn't have been here, most likely. She wouldn't have still been alive. The ice storm. Yeah, I kind of figured what you meant after I read it. But I never paid attention to Jesus actually saying these things, which kind of makes me feel really bad. It makes me feel like icky inside, kind of, because I didn't see Jesus saying it. Even though I know in Revelation he talks. You know, that kind of thing. And I know that no matter what, if it's in the Bible, God is speaking. That's his words. So it's not like I was doing wrong. It's just I didn't get it yet. And that's why, another reason why, that I say stay in the Word, because there may be something you haven't gotten yet that's there for you. And I don't know if this made any sense to y'all. I would say go look at these websites. And I'm not saying these websites are perfect, but they make you think. They give you scripture references. And they'll help you to go further into the Word. And I know I've been talking about Got Questions a lot, but there's a lot of things there. Like, you can almost find anything there. It's just like, I don't know. It's just a lot there that helps me. And that's not the only things I use. It's just what I've been using lately. But I guess that's all I have to say. I don't know what else. I did write down, I wrote down Luke 21, 20 through 24. Why did I write that down? Why don't I have it marked? Do I have it marked in this one? Yes, I have it marked in this one. The destruction of Jerusalem foretold. And when he shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto. For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days, and there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon the people, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. And I also have something else marked. What do I have you marked for? Ephesians 2:20. Did I write that even? Why do I have that marked? We're going to read it anyway because I've got it marked and I just marked it. I didn't have anything else marked in this Bible. It says, and are built upon a foundation of him, wait a minute. And are built upon the foundation of the apostles and prophets, Jesus Christ himself being the chief cornerstone. Okay, I don't know why I had that marked. Yeah, I actually have several of his books and his Bible. And I'm still trying to read. Let's see. Prophets, priests, and kings always point to Jesus. Write that one down in your Bible. Prophets, priests, and kings always lead to Jesus. Write that one down in your Bible. Okay. But I don't know. I just feel like, but I don't know what you mean, Carol. I'm kind of confused. Which I know that I kind of know what you mean. Wait a minute. Prophets, priests, and kings always point to Jesus. The prophets do, of course. Priest, I don't know what you mean by that one. But kings, I guess King David pointed. I don't know. Maybe you need to send me an email. Explain it a little bit more. I don't know. Or put it on here. But anyway, I wanted to just bring that up because I was actually planning on talking about the sacrifices that we read about in Leviticus. And I thought, well, that's what we need to study. But then it kept coming back. But Jesus said this stuff. And I never paid attention to Jesus saying this stuff. Why didn't I pay attention to Jesus saying this stuff? So that's what I started studying. And that's how we ended up where we are for this study today. Next week, we're doing... Let me get the right... Oh, stop it. Psalm 1 through 3, and then back in Leviticus. We're just jumping around from Psalms and Leviticus. Psalm 1 through 3, then Leviticus 16 through 23, then Psalm 4 through 6, then Leviticus 24 through 27, and then Psalm 7 through 10. So we're jumping around next week for the readings, which some people might like, because I know a lot of people don't like reading Leviticus. I don't mind it. I don't know why, but Leviticus is kind of short in their chapters. The chapters are short. But I also, every one of the scriptures that I read today, except the one in Ephesians, which now I don't even know which one it was because I took the marker out of my Bible. I have them in the description box. All of the websites too. So, I hope this was alright. I hope y'all got something from it. I feel like I did. Even if it's I'm trying to make sure I took all those little tabs out because I don't like them sticking there, because I won't know what I'm doing next time, why they're there. But anyway, I just felt like this was what I wanted to study this week, and it's still part of the study. It's just not what's in the book, and I hope that's okay. I know I've done that a lot lately with this study, because I feel like what's in this books, it's a good starting point, but it's kind of elementary, and I want to go deeper. So we're studying Ishmael's family on Tuesdays, and we'll be back with this next Thursday. And I don't know what else to say. I think that's all I had. If y'all have any thoughts, you can let me know. Go check out the websites if you want to. And I will see y'all in tonight's video, because it's ready. And I hope y'all, and it's shorter though. The prophets, the priests, and the kings always pointing to Jesus. Sorry, scratch last two. Still here, but listening 10 minutes behind. I'm sorry, Lois. Oh goodness, she's gonna hear me say that in 10 minutes. She had to be on the phone. But anyway, I'll see y'all next time. And y'all let me know if y'all I have read Matthew multiple times, but I didn't really think about what Jesus was saying, which is crazy. I might have thought about it, but it wasn't I need to study this, or why was he saying this? That kind of thing. I didn't feel a pull to dig a little bit deeper. And I know I didn't dig as deep as I could have today. Actually, prophecy study could go a long way, real deep, but I don't know a lot. I'm learning. That's why I say make sure you stay in the Bible yourself. Don't take everything I say as the gospel, because it's not. Definitely not the gospel. But I'm still learning too. I'm a student. So, I will see y'all tomorrow, tonight in that video, and I will see y'all Tuesday for the next study, and I hope y'all have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you for hanging out with me, and remember, don't take any